Hello everyone, welcome to the Focus weekly video for the module of International Relations and Internal Security. There were few important things which were there in the news this week on which there can be a question in your pre-2025. Okay, some of the important things has taken place on which UPSC can ask you a question. So let's start our discussion and take every topic from the perspective of both pre and main. So the first topic of our discussion on which the first topic of discussion is the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace agreement. So first thing which is important for you to know is see the location of both Armenia and Azerbaijan. Both are known as Caucasus states. Okay. What is the capital of Armenia and what is the capital of Azerbaijan? And do check the capital of Georgia. Always important. And it is in the news, so that's why more important. So both have agreed to end of 4 decades of conflict. Now the conflict was on which territory? Important to know. And they are known as Caucasus states. One more important thing to remember from exam point of view is that the highest peak of Europe is not in Alps. The highest peak of Europe is in Caucasus Mountains. Do check the name of the highest peak of Europe, which is in the Caucasus Mountains. And these are known as Caucasus states. So they have agreed to end the conflict, as I said, which deals with the territory that is Nagorno-Karabakh region. Okay. So this is the dispute for which Armenia and Azerbaijan has agreed to settle it. So from pre-perspective, there can be a question, this dispute is between which two countries? There can be a question regarding the match the following or that this is match the following about their capitals, always important. Most probable is that this dispute is in the news in context of the conflict between two countries and both has agreed to settle it. So one, its location. So important thing to know is that this region, Nagorno-Karabakh, is entirely in Azerbaijan. It's a landlocked region. It's entirely in Azerbaijan. Okay. Claimed by Armenia because majority population of this region is Armenian. And politically, it was under the control of Azerbaijan. And now Armenia has agreed to settle this dispute and is ready to accept the sovereignty of Azerbaijan over this particular region. It is majority population is of Armenians and majority Armenians wanted to integrate this region with Armenia as per the principle of self-determination, which is an accepted principle since the end of the Second World War under UN. Okay. So it's a long-standing territorial and ethnic dispute. As I said, this region internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but majority population of this region is of Armenian. So this is the core of this dispute, and Armenian wanted to be a part of Armenia. It's a landlocked region, but inside Azerbaijan. So it has led to a lot of wars, ceasefires, and international interventions. Going a bit into the history of this issue, though it is not relevant from exam point of view, just to make it a better memory so that we have a clear picture, that it was the Stalin, the Soviet leader, who gave the political control of this region to the government of Azerbaijan. So since then, there are ethnic tensions which are prevailing as the majority is of Armenian. This led to the First War, and First War led to the Armenia was able to took over the political control of this territory. Okay. So Armenia took over the control. Then it was a period of ceasefire, right? So from 94 till 2020, this was the status quo as there was a ceasefire. A lot of diplomatic efforts being made by OSCE, important group, which you can check what exactly OSCE stands for. Okay. Now, 2020, Azerbaijan launched a major military attack, got a lot of backing from Turkey. Armenians are mainly Christians, and Azerbaijan majority population is of Muslims. And now Russia mediated, and this time Azerbaijan was able to take back the control over this territory. So it remains a disputed territory. Finally, in 2023, Azerbaijan was able to fully capture this territory. And now they have agreed to settle this, and Armenia has agreed to recognize the sovereignty of Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh region. Okay. So this dispute has been settled and a peace treaty has been signed. So very important and probable question, which can be there in this year, in the pre-exam of 2025, is that this territory lies where, what is the location, and it's a disputed issue between the which two countries. Okay. So now it can lead to the stability in the region. India does not have a direct India does not have any direct interest in the region, but India has always stood that such issues should be solved through bilateral negotiations and dialogue between the parties who are involved. So India has always taken a very consistent and firm stand that we need to go for the diplomatic solutions of such issues, and such issues should be solved within the bilateral framework. Okay. As such, we do not have a direct interest in this particular issue. So this has been always India's stand. So this will lead to the stability in the region. So in this context, this issue was important from exam point of view. Another issue which is important for this year pre-exam is the issue of Chagos Archipelago. Okay. Few factual things which are very important for you to know is the first thing, India has backed. Recently, Prime Minister Modi has visited Mauritius, and we have backed the claim of Mauritius over this particular archipelago. Okay. So this Chagos Archipelago, it was a disputed issue, or again, it's a disputed issue between Mauritius and UK. Mauritius was the colony of UK. UK gave independence to Mauritius in 1968. Okay. So first, its location and its most important island, that is Diego Garcia, which is a naval military base for US. And its location is in Indian Ocean. Now, presence of US military in this region during Cold War was a challenge. But at present, US is pursuing a policy called the Pivot to Asia strategy, which is seen by China as its geopolitical game plan to counter China in the region. Under Pivot strategy, US is increasing its naval military presence in Asia Pacific region. And US administration has started using the word Indo-Pacific for Asia Pacific. Under its Pivot to Asia strategy, its naval military presence on Diego Garcia is one of the main interest of US. And this naval military base of US helped US a lot during Gulf War too. So during Cold War, presence of US was a challenge, but now China is increasing its strategic military presence in Indian Ocean region, which is seen by India as the maritime silk, which is seen by India as the string of pearl policy of China. That China is strategically surrounding us from all its sides. In this context, presence of US here in Diego Garcia now in the present times it is in India's interest. It was a challenge during Cold War, but now the rising presence of China is a challenge, and US military base here is in India's interest. Also, India and US have signed an agreement called LEMUA, Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Understanding. Means India and the US Navy and military can use each other's logistics in the region. Okay. We cannot right now, we do not have the economic capability to compete with China in its defense budgets. In this context, this LEMOA agreement is so when it was signed, it is of what to say, like when LEMOA was signed. I don't want to go into the background of this, but what you can understand is that LEMOA, when LEMOA was signed, logistic exchange, that US naval warships can come very close to our coastline. US can use our logistics in the Indian Ocean region. There was uproar in the parliament by the leftists that by giving access to US Navy of our logistics, we have compromised on our sovereignty. But the government has signed it. So as an aspirant, what you need to see is signing LEMOA has not led to the compromisation of our sovereignty. It will going to strengthen our sovereignty, because right now, US presence is not a challenge for us in the region. It is a rising presence of China is a challenge, and we want to align with US. We want to engage with US, strategically engage with US, and we are already strategically engaging with US under Quad. So by using the US logistics, we do not have the naval military capability to compete with China on our own, but with the help of US and its naval military base here, we can be in a position to counter China. So in that context, the presence of US Navy in Diago Gracia is of core concern for India too. So what you need to know is that over Chagos Archipelago, there was a dispute between Mauritius and UK. Mauritius got the independence. But before UK gave independence to Mauritius, we'll tell you. So first thing, so it's a point of contention between the two since Mauritius gained independence. Now, before Britain gave independence to Mauritius, UK created a British Indian Ocean territory over Diago Gracia, which is a part of Chagos. Okay, so it separated Chagos from Mauritius and paid a good amount of money to it. And in 66, it allowed US to have its military base in Diago Gracia, which is a part of Chagos. So before it gave independence to Mauritius, it separated Chagos from Mauritius, allowed US to have its military base within Diago Gracia, and 68, it gave independence to Mauritius. So this, and Mauritius started putting its claim over Chagos since then. Okay, so it is located in Indian Ocean, Chagos Archipelago. And important fact to know is, it is the world's largest atoll. What are atoll? That I hope you have learned in your geography classes. So it is first thing, it is one of the largest atoll. It is in Indian Ocean. And Mauritius putting its claim over Chagos Archipelago too since its independence. In 2024, UK recognized that, okay, Mauritius sovereignty falls over Chagos, but Britain decided to keep its control over Diago Gracia, the largest island of Chagos Archipelago. And it hosts a military base, as I said, in Britain, a naval military base of Britain and US. So, which is very strategically very important for US for its operations in Asia. And during Cold War, this territory was a challenge for India. But right now, it is serving India's interest because India needs strategic presence of US in the region under the threat of the rising dominance of China. Okay. So this year is not important for you. From when it became operational during Gulf War, it served the purpose of US. Okay. So this is Chagos Island or Archipelago. and Diego Gracia is a part of it. Okay. Reunion Island, naval military base of France. So I hope now you understand why this issue is so important in our scheme of things also. So Mauritius has raised the issue claiming Chagos archipelago in 17 disputed issues between the countries. So Mauritius and Britain country, Mauritius took this issue to ICJ, one of the organ of UN. Okay. ICJ declared UK should end its control over Chagos and hand it over to Mauritius. UNGA also passed a resolution that Britain needs to hand over the control of Chagos to Mauritius. And finally, in 2024, Britain agreed to give the control of Chagos to Mauritius, except its control over Diego Gracia. So Diego Gracia will going to remain under UK control for military operations. Okay. So 2024, UK has recognized Mauritius sovereignty over Chagos. And now you can see that what I just said, it is written that only that it has its implications for India, considering the rising presence of China in the region. And India has always supported Mauritius' claim over Chagos, and Diego Gracia military base of US and Britain right now is in our interest. Okay. So in this context, this issue is important from exam point of view. Okay. Third issue which was in the news is regarding Indo-Sri Lanka fishing dispute, a consistent dispute which prevails between the two countries, one of the issue of divergence between the two neighboring states. Let's take this issue. The third topic is Indo-Sri Lanka fishing dispute. It is something which there's a persistent dispute which prevails between the two countries and a permanent issue of tension and divergence. Okay, and this issue became more prominent. It became more prominent since 2009. Why? Because 2009, with the killing of LTT leader Prabhakaran, the Alum War ended in Sri Lanka. That is the war for the sovereign state for Sri Lankan Tamil. So till the time LTT was having its presence in the Jaffna Peninsula, this is the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, they prefer the to and fro movement from Indian coastland and Jaffna Peninsula. But since the war is over, the region came under the control of the Sri Lankan Navy. That is the Park Bay area. Sri Lankan Army and Sri Lankan Navy started patrolling this particular region. So since 9, as Sri Lankan Navy took over the control of these waters, they became more aggressive in controlling the illegal fishing by the Indian fishermen from the state of Tamil Nadu. So that is why 9 onwards, the demand to take back the issue, to take back the island of Kachati gained more prominence within the regional politics of Tamil Nadu. So the students should be well aware of two things, that there is a disputed issue which has been settled by the Indian Parliament since 13, that is the issue of Kachativu, but the regional parties of Tamil Nadu keep raising this issue of Kachativu. And second, the Park Bay area. Okay. So this is the international maritime boundary line, which Sri Lankan Navy claims that the fishermen community from the state of Tamil Nadu, the Indian fishermen, Tamil fishermen from the Indian state of Tamil Nadu crosses and they are trying to enter into these waters as fisheries are more rich in this part of Pak Bay. And this is the issue of Kachativu. If Kachativu would have been the part of Indian territory, as per the UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea, Indian fishermen would have been able to access or can be able to do fishing in these waters too. But Indian government has given the control of Kachativu way back in 70s, which was done by the government of Indira Gandhi. Okay. And the post 2009, the leaders from the political leaders of the regional parties of Tamil Nadu started demanding that we need to take the control of Kachativu back. We need to take it back, as the Sri Lankan Navy's aggressive is not arresting. In fact, they are not arresting. They have started using violence against the fishermen community of Tamil Nadu. So they demanded that we need to take it back. And their ground of demanding it back, that Kachativu was given as per the executive agreement of the government. Now, as per the Berubari Union case, Supreme Court has clearly stated that to cede a territory, ceding a territory requires a constitutional amendment, and that needs to be passed by a special majority, that is by the 2/3 majority of the parliament. Recently, we have settled the issue of enclaves with Bangladesh, and for this, we passed the 100th amendment. So, ceding a territory requires amendment, needs to be passed by a special majority as per the ruling of the Supreme Court, as per Berubari Union case, and the stand of the politicians of Tamil Nadu when Jayalalitha, the CM of the state, she filed a writ petition in High Court, in Chennai High Court, that the way Kachativu was given, it was unconstitutional. But in 17, Government of India, the Parliament of India has settled this issue by taking a stand that the sovereignty of Sri Lankan government falls over Kachativu. The justification which has been given by them is that Kachativu was never a territory of India. British left, and both India and Sri Lanka, they were the colonies of the British. British left, and the government of Sri Lanka laid its claim over Kachativu. So it was a disputed issue, and settlement of a disputed issue is the prerogative of the executive. So the government of Indira Gandhi executive ended a disputed issue, which is the prerogative of the executive itself. Okay. So this is a persistent dispute which prevails along both the sides, and Sri Lankan government keep blaming the fishermen community from Tamil Nadu that they are involved in illegal fishing and they are doing bottom trawling. Okay. So in this context, anytime this, as I said, this is a consistent irritant which prevails between the two countries, and Kachativu issue still generates a lot of political heat within the politics of Tamil Nadu. So you as an aspirant should be well aware of the issue of Kachativu. Okay. Rest all other factual things, not that relevant. Fourth issue which was in the news is Baloch insurgency. Okay. Pakistan's train hijack. So rarely we heard about these kind of news that train has been hijacked. We have heard about the plane hijacking. Indian airline itself was hijacked. The Air India plane, which flew from Kathmandu, was taken to Kandahar at that time, and we end up releasing terrorists. But this time, it is the state who is known as the hub of terror, facing the heat of terrorism. So Baloch insurgency. So who are exactly Baloch insurgents, and what they are demanding for, what they are fighting for? So one thing, it is important to understand this issue from the less possibility that there can be a question in something. So next topic of our discussion is Baloch insurgency. So rarely we listen these kind of news that a train has been hijacked. We have heard about things like plane hijacking. 9/11 planes were hijacked. Indian airline was hijacked, Air India, which flew from Kathmandu, and terrorists took the plane to Kandahar, and we end up releasing terrorists. This time, train has been hijacked in Pakistan, and now the state who has been blamed for supporting terrorism, known as the hub of terrorism, is facing the wrath of terrorism itself. So who exactly these people are? What is the demand of BLA, Baloch Liberation Army, and why they are fighting against the state of Pakistan? Okay, to understand this, again, we need to go back into history. From pre-point of view, you should be well aware what is the capital of Balochistan. It is Quetta. Other than this, what you need to understand is that these are the provinces of Pakistan: Punjab, Balochistan, Sindh. Earlier, these regions, that is Northwest Frontier provinces and FATA, they are known as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, one thing is religion. Other thing is ethnicity. So the ignored aspect, students do not understand that division within the state can take place on ethnic lines. And Pakistan as a state was created on the lines of religion. And Pakistan has always tried to project its religious identity more, ignoring the ethnic identities. Okay, they have tried to project that as if all Muslims will have similar interest. Pakistan politics since independence is dominated by Punjabis. Military administration has always been under the control of the Punjabi Muslims, and they have suppressed Bengalis, who has already attained their objective of a sovereign state, that is Bangladesh. And Bangladesh was a big blot on Jinnah's two-nation theory. When millions of Muslims in India refused to go to Pakistan, it was also a blot on Jinnah's two-nation theory, as if all Muslims are aspiring for a sovereign state on the lines of religion. Okay. Now, same is Baluchis. Baluchi is ethnicity. So Pakistan is also a multi-ethnic country where there is a dominance of Punjabi. And Pakistan has tried to suppress other ethnicities. They only, after independence, they only accepted Urdu as the official language of the state. Indian constitution recognizing pluralism, diversity, and gave recognition to so many languages. Okay. They only recognize Urdu as the official language. So first thing to understand is the division is on the lines of ethnicities, and Balochistan is the biggest province of Pakistan. And it is the biggest and rich in minerals, but it is the least developed. This is the POK region, which according to India, illegally occupied by Pakistan. This is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region dominated by Pashtuns. Now, Pashtuns are different from Punjabis ethnically. The language is different, their culture is different, their way of life is totally different. Okay. Now, as per the Indian Independence Act, the rulers of the princely states were free to join either India or Pakistan, or they can remain independent. The way the ruler of Kashmir was not able to decide, and he signed a standstill agreement with both India and Pakistan, the ruler of Balochistan was also under this dilemma of whether to join India or Pakistan. As per Indian Independence Act, the will of the ruler will be final. And the ruler of the state of Kashmir, Hari Singh, signed an instrument of accession with India. So, as ruler signed the instrument of accession with us, so for our stand is, legally, constitutionally, Kashmir became the part of India. Pakistan never accepted this. But what the military of Pakistan has done in Balochistan, that they entered into the state of Balochistan, and many Baluchi and Baluchi leaders believe that their ruler was forced to sign an instrument of accession with Pakistan, as they never wanted to join the Islamic Pakistan of Jinnah. There was a time when the leaders of Afghanistan was interested to have Balochistan as a part of Afghanistan because of ethnic connects. And this would have given them the access of the coastline. Right now, Afghanistan is a landlocked state. Okay. And there are reports that many Baloch leaders, they wanted to be a part of India. We can't establish these facts now, but the belief of the Baloch leaders is that forcefully Pakistan has taken over the political control over Balochistan. India has maintained silence for years. Okay, though Pakistan has blamed India that India has a covert hand in instigating Baloch insurgency within Pakistan, denial from India, and India has always maintained silence because if Pakistan claims that we need to conduct plebiscite, had Pakistan conducted plebiscite in those princely states which Pakistan took over by signing the instrument of accession with the princely states, Pakistan has never thought about that, but consistent in its demand of conducting a plebiscite. That's why there's a denial from our side that Pakistan cannot demand plebiscite. Okay. So India used to maintain silence that Pakistan will understand our sensitivities on Kashmir. But Pakistan has always tried to instigate violence in Kashmir and try to internationalize this. Balochistan is a landlocked province, makes it strategically very important. So there was a time when PM Modi raised the issue of Balochistan in the UN, and this has hurted the state of Pakistan badly. Modi said that Pakistan is not allowing international media in Balochistan. There is more presence of Pakistan's military in Balochistan and gross human rights violations in Balochistan. So Balochis are being suppressed by the military might of Pakistan, the way military suppressed Bengal. Okay. Now China is building Gwadar port here, making this province strategically more important for China and Pakistan, and China is building CPAC, which enters in Gwadar. But Balochis see the backing of China to the military of Pakistan is Chinese imperialism on their soil. And the Balochis have their own group called Balochistan Liberation Army. So they are fighting for their independence, liberation, from whom the state of Pakistan, and they see the presence of China as Chinese imperialism on their soil, and they are anti-China, anti-Pakistan. So they are in a state of war with the military of Pakistan because Pakistan's politics is being strongly controlled by military. Okay. That is why the military at present, military of Pakistan do not want to have a direct control, direct power in their hand. Because if Pakistani military will take a direct control politically, they want to project Pakistan on paper democracy. So that they keep projecting the violence of many groups within Pakistan as terrorism. And they are able to project BLA as terrorist. Because if Pakistan will become a military dictatorship, the struggle of BLA will become revolution. Okay. That is why they do not want the direct political control, and they want to, on paper, wants to project Pakistan as a democratic state. Okay. So it is Baloch ethno-nationalist group seeking independence. And Pakistan has been able to project it as a terrorist group because violence against democracy is terrorism. These rest all are the facts. Okay. It is largest but least developed. And since independent, Pakistan has invested all of its energy along the western borders, along its eastern border, ignoring western borders. So there is a lot of chaos, instability prevails along its western borders, both in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and in Balochistan. So Balochistan was independent, and the Khan of Kalat, it used to be known as the Kalat state, he was forced by the military of Pakistan to sign an instrument of accession as per the Baloch leaders, and they are demanding their independence. So I hope this much of explanation would have been able to give you to understand you what exactly the issue is and what are the double standards of the state of Pakistan. Okay. Though this issue can be discussed in hours, but I have just tried to give you a bit of the understanding and the background of this particular issue. Okay. As such, no one will ask you to write in mains about the issue of Balochistan. That's why I'm not going into the details. Last is the factual aspect which you need to know, that SIPRI. First, what this institute is about. SIPRI is important. And it has, as per its report, now India has emerged as the second largest importer of defense goods after Ukraine. We want to change this status as we are looking forward for indigenization. But despite that objective, we are not being able to reduce our reliance on imports. And SIPRI has come up with its report that India is the second largest importer. SIPRI stands for Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. So this acronym itself is important from exam point of view. It keeps a track of another important thing other than this, that who are the biggest importer of weapons and who are the biggest exporter. It keeps a track of the number of nuclear weapons which are there in the world. And which nuclear weapon state is holding how much of nuclear arsenal. So SIPRI also keeps a track of this too. Okay. So it's an independent international institute. Another factual thing about SIPRI to remember is, and its objective is to work towards disarmament. So it keeps a track of global arms transfers, imports and exports, and also keeps a track of the nuclear arsenal which is there in the world. So Ukraine is the largest importer. India has been ranked as the second largest. Okay. Despite our decline of imports because of the increasing domestic production under indigenization, since still we are the second largest. Another factual thing from exam point of view is this is not that. Yes. Our imports from our maximum imports are coming from Russia and France. Despite the decline of Russian imports, still Russia is one of the largest exporter of weapons to us. Okay, came from Russia. Despite the decline of Russian arms import, still Russia is the biggest exporter of weapons to us. So these are the factual things you need to remember. So the third largest importer is Qatar, fourth is Saudi, and fifth is Pakistan. This fact you can also remember from exam point of view. Okay. We are diversifying our arms import, and we have increased our arms imports from France, Israel, and US. Our imports from US has increased exponentially. Imports from Russia has decreased, but still Russia is the biggest exporter of defense goods to us. Okay. Ultimate objective is indigenization, and under indigenization, we are demanding technology transfers. And in the last video, I have discussed this aspect, that from the point of view of indigenization, Russia is still very important, as Russia do not show any inhibition towards technology transfers. And with Russia, we have reached to the level of joint collaboration. So our defense engagement with Russia is very strong. While with US still shows a lot of inhibitions towards technology transfers, and that is why towards indigenization, which is one of the key objective of ours, Russia still holds a lot of prominence for us. So these are the factual things which you need to remember and important from exam point of view, especially SIPRI. Its objective, it's an independent institute. Its full form, what exactly SIPRI stands for, what exactly is the objective, and important thing, it keeps a track on the nuclear arsenal and India's position as the second largest defense importer, who is the third, fourth, and the fifth largest. So these were the important topics which were there in the news. From our point of view, we'll continue with our discussion next week. Bye. Best of luck. Take care.